On October 7th and in the difficult months that followed, Magen Adom stood at the very heart of Israel's emergency response. Whether on the front lines or behind the scenes, Magen Adom harnessed innovation and dedication to save lives. To share more about their work and its impact since October 7th, three leaders from the organization: Moshe Tzadok, manager of the Automatic Blood Typing Unit, Rafael Herbest, paramedic and head of Project Magen, and Ronit Glazer from the 101 Dispatch Center.
Thank you so much for being here today. So I want to get started by taking us back to October 7th. Israel's emergency system was tested like never before. Each of you tell me briefly, where were you that day and what challenge did you face? Rafael, why don't you start?
Wow, October 7th. Woke up like everybody else in the state of Israel with the alarms, non-stopping alarms going on and on with the red alerts. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the reserve of the Home Front Command. I'm in charge of recruiting teams to reinforce Magen Adom in times of escalations. So as the alarm started, 5 minutes afterwards, I realized that something is different. I quickly rushed to the headquarters and over there started to recruit the unit and reinforce Magen Adom with over 600 ambulance drivers, paramedics, and medics, and send them everywhere needed during these difficult times.
Unbelievable. Ronit, and where were you?
I was in Jerusalem. I arrived, I wasn't on shift. I arrived to the Jerusalem Dispatch Center with my two daughters because I don't have a bomb shelter at home and it's a bomb shelter there, and started answering calls from all over the country, mainly from down south, grasping the situation from what I hear on the line and trying to figure out how I can still help the people there, even though I realize that it'll take us a long time to arrive.
And Tzadok, what about you?
I woke up and when I heard the alarms, I immediately drove to the Mother Blood Center and start to arrange the laboratory for the blood units that will arrive.
Now, Tzadok, you were talking about the blood, and I know that you were actually the director of the Automatic Blood Typing Center or laboratory for MADA.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what happened with MADA that day. How did you ensure a sufficient and efficient supply of blood on October 7th, and what type of blood was needed to deal with this trauma?
Yes, for the trauma patient, we need a special blood that's called low-titer whole blood. For that, to supply this blood, you have to understand, in regular times, we supply approximately between 5 to 10 units to the army and to the trauma center in Israel. But after October 7th, we had to supply 100 units every day. This is like mission impossible. So what we do, we automated the system. We automated all the system. We do validation and automate the system that we can provide 100 units per day. What we do, we shifted to 12 hours work, 24/7, and because we shifted to 24/7 and work even in Shabbat, we managed to check all the 5,000 every day, and to supply and to check to supply approximately 100 units of low-titer oral blood to the army. You have to understand this kind of unit is a special unit for the patient with severe trauma, the bleeding patient, because it's in all the articles that's saying that this blood unit is better from what was before. Before, the patient will get PEC cells. PEC cells is only the red blood cells. But low-titer oral blood contains the red blood cells, contain plasma with anticoagulants, and contain platelets.
And is that what we call? Is that what we call whole blood?
Yes, it's whole blood, but it's not regular whole blood. It's whole blood with low titer of anti-A and anti-B. And to find it, it's a very, very hard work. Fortunately for us, the director of the MADA Blood Services, Professor Elad Shinar, thought thought of this long before the war. And she told me, Tzadok, we have to integrate this product to the blood services. How can you do it? So we started to read articles. And we started to do validation that took us half a year. And we managed to enter this product, both biologically to check it and computerized it. So we can supply this product. We didn't know that a war will happen. And you have to understand, the mortality rate 20 years ago when they used packed cells was about 15% of the injury soldiers in the field. And now, according to the army, the mortality rate dropped to 7%.
Wow, it's half. Less than half.
It's less than half. It's not because only the red blood cell, only the whole blood low titer. It's because that there were doctors in the point of injury and give these special blood units.
Incredible. I mean, that's lives saved. The innovation really impacted the number of people who stayed alive. And I know, actually, Raphael, I want to move to you because you also are running a very innovative program called the Magen Project. Not physical, it's not like the blood, but it is a project that empowers local communities to respond even after or even before the ambulances arrive. On October 7th, when many towns and communities were obviously cut off, how did the community teams operate? What gaps did you find that needed to be filled?
So Magen David Adom's goal is to save lives, and in order to save lives, we have to be everywhere all the time. So when people call for help, help will be for ever needed. And in times of crisis or mass casualty events, the needs sometimes are more than the abilities of organization to give to people. So what Magen David Adom decided to do is to increase the abilities, and our way to increase the abilities is to educate the public. And we went out with the Magen Project, educating communities, municipalities, over 1,400 communities and municipalities, educating over 16,000 people, distributing almost 12,000 medical kits and supplies. So people should not have to wait to save lives until an ambulance arrives, no matter what, if the roads are blocked or there is no ability for the vehicles to enter any communities. They can start saving lives once anything happens, every emergency.
So what would it take to be able to expand this project so that really there is no community in Israel that would ever be left vulnerable again?
So Magen David Adom annually trains over 500,000 people with different types of first aid training. And we're really trying to go out to all the municipalities and train as much as possible, to do as much as possible collaborations. Together with this project, we also have midwives that are working together with us in the district communities, training doctors and medics who regularly don't volunteer for Magen David Adom, but to train them and support them with equipment. So if anything happens, our software can find, and this is where Ronit comes inside the picture, locate these people in wherever they are so they can help save lives even before help arrives.
Incredible. And I do want to turn to you, Ronit, actually to talk to you about the 101 Dispatch Center, which received, of course, tens of thousands of calls on October 7th. What was it like inside the center that day, and how did technology help or struggle to keep up with the load?
The technology actually helped very much during that day. Something that we have on a computer screen is that whenever someone calls a second time, we will already see where they are and what they called about, and everything will be written in front of our eyes. So even though we were dealing with the amount of calls that we never thought that we would deal with, and dealing with a situation that for the first time ever, we can't say the ambulance is on the way. That's a complete break in the link of saving lives for us. We could see already what they told us, and we could continue from the end of their last conversation. In addition, we can receive their current location via WhatsApp. So many of the people I personally spoke to, you heard hope in their voice as soon as they sent me their location, and I said to them, I know where you are. We'll get to you as soon as we can. And you could hear some sort of a sigh of relief saying, I understand that it'll take you a long time. I will try to stay here as long as I can. I'm happy you know that I'm here. And actually, these locations that we received helped the IDF afterwards to unfortunately find the bodies of many people we couldn't reach. And you tried to give as much hope as you could to patients while you inside felt hopeless and helpless and frustrated. And all day long, we pretty much, luckily, many people arrived. The dispatch receives calls from all over the country. So we received from down south, and people also in Haifa received from there. Everyone received calls from there. And we were able to replace people when they couldn't anymore. A lot of people just broke into tears after calls and had to go out to calm themselves down so someone else could sit instead of them. And it was 4 times the amount of calls we normally get on a Shabbat morning, nonstop.
Now, Renee, you must have learned a lot about what a technology, in addition to what you already had, would be helpful. And I understand that over the last couple years, MADA has really been able to innovate and to change the way that you manage the call center in order that, God forbid, if there will ever be a next time, you would be able to handle it better. Talk to me about some of that new technology and innovation.
Well, I'm happy to say that our technology is built in-house. So already on October 8th, we have this virtual 911 system that we've had for a long time so that the police and the fire department and us can interact without picking up the phone. As soon as we receive any information, any call that we need them, it goes up on their screens at the same time that we receive it. On October 8th already, our system became in a way that as soon as we want to say anything to the police, if it's even already a call that we have with them, we press a button and they get the same information that we just received. Amazing. So that's something that right away changed. In addition to that, we learned a lot on October 7th about the need for primary care points. So instead of we understood that there were areas that we couldn't reach. Whoever could leave there, we marked on the map in a very not a good way on October 7th, understanding that we need a mark on the map for everyone in the whole country who works in the dispatch and also the IDF and also the police to know where these primary care points are. So the system already learned from that, and by the time we had the Iranian attack, the 12-day war here, we already had on our system a way to mark on the computer screen, on the map, where the primary care point is, which is not at the location of the explosion, but a bit further away, and anyone in the whole country could tell people, go there, that's where you'll get treated.
Incredible. Now, we're going to run out of time, but I do want us to be able to each give about 30 seconds looking a little bit forward and what will happen next. Now, with God's help, hopefully we'll have at least another 2 years before we experience, and hopefully forever, another crisis like the last one. But what other additional changes in each of your departments would you envision? What would be the most important innovation that MADA is working on in your department to be able to be prepared next time around? Again, God forbid. Tzadok, why don't you start?
What is the important thing is now it's to do another validation because now, let me explain. Now we have now we can find about 100 units per day, but if forbidden, there will be another war, and they will need more than 100. We have to develop now a technique to find more than 100, and for the technique we had to do a validation. So that's what I'm preparing for.
Oh. And what about you, Ronit?
I think one thing that we're working on that I already talked about, the interface with the other organizations, is something so important for inside Magen David Adom and also outside, so that everything will happen really by a click of a button. Just as soon as I receive important information as a 101 caller, as soon as I receive it, whoever needs to know it will have it, and it will manage to last even if there's a blackout, even if there's anything else. And we're working on those systems right now. We already have satellites and stuff like that to make sure that we'll be able to continue and that it won't affect saving lives.
Unbelievable. And Rafael, if you could give some final sentiments.
So for us, it's about mapping and adding resources all the time to Magen David Adom. So we're mapping all the AEDs in the condos, in the shopping center. So when something is needed, we can always guide people to the nearest location where there is first aid equipment or AEDs. And second of all is getting more resources, training people also in times of escalations. People who have a shared bomb shelter at the building, we can do online courses, and we believe that saving lives should be something very simple.
For sure, and I hope that all of the Israelis will take advantage of that, but that we will never need it. Thank you all so much for being here today.